Welcome to another episode of Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton, and on this episode, we're going to talk about rookie minicamp that happened last week, kind of a little bit of some sound bites that happened from that. Just, talk about a few things that I kind of gathered from those things. We're going to get into those and touch on all four teams. But before we do that, of course, we have to do the Get Off Your Chest segment. And on this episode, I want to talk about easy does not mean good. Again, easy does not mean good. Now, you all know the NFL schedule is getting ready to come out. It'll be out on Wednesday, or it's out this week, basically. And they've been throwing out little bits and pieces of schedules as the week has gone on till the official schedule release. But before that, they have ranked all these team schedules where they're the sixth easiest, the eighth easiest, the first, the hardest schedule in the league, all those different things. But there's one thing that you got to remember. It's based off a team's last season. Doesn't mean these teams are going to be good this season. Now, I know some of these teams will be, but it does not mean every team that is going to be on the schedule to make it the seventh easiest or the easiest schedule in the league, all those different things, does not mean that that schedule is going to be easy because that bad team could be good this year. See, simple things. So, I know some look at the schedule and wonder, oh man, we got this easy schedule. We can make things happen. Always understand, don't ever underestimate your opponent. The team last year probably got better going into this year, unless there are certain teams in the NFL. But we're not going to mention any names. But that's just what I wanted to mention with the NFL schedule dropping, and little hints of the schedule dropping. Easy as an easy schedule, supposed easy schedule, does not mean good. Just had to get that off my chest, as the schedule is getting ready to drop, the full schedule for everybody, so that way you can kind of start booking your trips and all those different things. I know plenty of people want to go to games all over the place this year, but hey, you know, just remember what I told you. The easiest schedule doesn't necessarily mean you're going to the playoffs. That's what it is. But all right, let's get into the rookies now. Of course, rookie minicamp was last week for a lot of teams, last weekend for a lot of teams, especially all teams in the AFC South. And I took it upon myself to listen to all of the press conferences. I listened to Cam Ward, I listened to Travis Hunter, I listened to Tyler Warren, listened to Jayden HIggins, listened to a few other players as well. But one thing I noticed about all these different players, a lot of them were saying the same things. And one of those things that they were saying was it actually, there's not a ton of difference, but the play calls are longer. The getting the verbiage down. Those are, the things there. But the concepts is from what I gather in a lot of different things, the concepts weren't all that different because you got to remember, folks, football is still football. It is. It doesn't become an incredibly awkward game as you get older. No, it becomes more technique focused, more the different little bitty things that make you stand out. That's what makes it different. Of course, the calls are longer. Like Travis Hunter, just give you an example. Travis Hunter did say that the difference between Colorado and offense and the offense in Jacksonville, the calls are longer, which that's to be expected because you have so many different things that you're telling people what to do within one play call. Now, I'm not going to rattle off any play call here like I'm some offensive guru or professor, but when that man says the plays are longer, I can already imagine what a quarterback has to go through that hasn't ever said a play call probably as long as they're going to be saying right now, getting used to the NFL. So, that was something I thought was very interesting to hear. You also hear about a lot of the rookies saying about getting up to speed, things like that. That's also another thing that you're going to hear. And, the biggest thing is the quicker these guys are able to get up to speed, the more they'll be able to help their teams. Especially for, your rookie quarterbacks, your guys playing defense and offense, Travis Hunter, those key pieces that are going to be counted on to step in, show up, and show out when it comes to Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and even Friday night football at times. So it's going to be just interesting to watch that. But it was a lot of players saying a lot of the same things when it came to media. By the way, I will say that a lot of these guys were very, very smooth, very, very comfortable in front of the camera and talking to media. Now, some of that is because they've been in front of the camera for a long time, ever since, college days. They've been in front of the camera multiple times, so they're kind of a little bit more comfortable. Another thing is probably had some media training along their way because they expected to be at the NFL level, or at least majority of them that were, interviewed recently. And also just, being themselves naturally in front of the camera. So, definitely salute to those guys, all the kids, Jayden HIggins, Cam Ward, you had LA Ayomanor, you had, you just had a lot of people. Tyler Warren, you had Travis Hunter as well. All of them were in front of the camera, definitely handled themselves, equipped themselves very well, answering questions from the media as well, along with getting their work in, which we're going to talk about. Of course, we've got to talk about the work, the work, the work. It was the rookies, it was the undrafted free agents that were signed that were there last week. So we're gonna get into that, but first we're gonna start with the Tennessee Titans, and we're actually not gonna start with Cam Ward. I know Cam Ward hasn't been mentioned a lot, talked about, and that's been something that's been talked about a lot in terms of media as well. However, in this episode, I'm gonna talk about some guys that probably aren't further talked about a lot. You'll find out who right after this commercial break on touring the AFC South.
EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash are two of the best beard grooming products for men worldwide. They help promote growth, keep your beard moisturized and soft, and enhance your overall upkeep of your facial hair. And with the new promo code MPAFC10, you can get 10% off all these products. Just go to www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. Again, that's www.etsy.com/shop/EBO Beard Butter. And again, the promo code MPAFC10. Again, MPAFC10, where you can get 10% off any products except for beard boxes. So treat your beard better today by going to get this the EBO Beard Butter and EBO Beard Wash.
All right, and we are back on touring the AFC South. Like I mentioned, we're going to start in Tennessee. And a lot of the talk in Tennessee wasn't about Cam Ward this past weekend. It was actually about a wide receiver Cam Ward threw the football to. A lot in Miami, that would be Xavier Restrepo, the undrafted free agent out of Miami, was signed. And, it was mentioned, and Cam Ward was asked if, about Restrepo and him being here. And, he said he did actually speak to him, speak to every team about Restrepo and wanting him to be there with him wherever he was potentially going to go. He said, why not? Because he was the guy that ran the best routes in college football. So, hey, I simply can't question the man. The man was throwing to Restrepo the entire last season at Miami. However, Restrepo, there was a couple other guys that got a little bit overlooked in rookie camp. Those guys are Chimry DK and Alec Ayomanor. I'm sorry, Ayomanor. Now, DK is from the University of Florida. Speedy wide receiver, about 6'1", got in the 4.3s running with the at the combine. And Ayomanor is a wide receiver from the University of sorry for Stanford. And for those that don't remember, he's the guy that lit up the Colorado Buffaloes for 290, 94, 96 yards, one night in Colorado. Yeah, that was electrifying. I watched that game from beginning to end, and boy, oh boy, A.O. Manor had himself a ball game. But getting back to both of these guys, watched a little film on both of them. As far as DK, DK is a guy that works across the middle of the field. I would say this: he ran one pattern that was um, it was more of a pattern. It looked like he was getting more up the field, which, he ran those patterns, but the patterns that I think were key for him when he was running out of the slot and running out of the, outside position as well at wide receiver, he ran patterns into congestion or across the field, which, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of toughness to be able to run across the field, especially the middle of the field, and to keep going and, keep, doing what you need to do. One thing I noticed he did is he put his body in between the defender and the football. So hey, they got to go get the football. They're going through him. So he presented a nice big target for his quarterback. So that way he could hit him right in the chest with the football. And the defensive back would have to go through him to knock the football out. Now he does have a pretty solid 7 minutes, and he is a guy that can separate, runs a 4.3, 4.40, I believe that's what he ran at the combine. Now I know he's got to have that translate on the football field, but looking at what he did at the University of Florida, he was a leading wide receiver for them last season, and I mean, he just simply made plays for them when they needed him. Now switching over to Elick Ayomanor. Now he's a little bit bigger wide receiver, about 6'2", so he's an inch taller. He's a guy that can run inside as well. He does. He gets off his releases pretty solid at the line of scrimmage. And watching a little tape of him, definitely is a guy that is going to finish plays, and definitely a guy that, when he's in tune with the quarterback. Oh yeah, he definitely is going to make plays happen. The biggest thing for these two guys and looking at them is just getting on the same page as Cam Ward, because if they get on the same page as Cam Ward, they're going to continue to allow the development of Cam Ward in this offense to be better, and they're going to in turn be better as a duo on the football field. Now, if I had to guess which one probably get on the football field quicker, I'm going to say A.L. Manor probably is going to get on the football field quicker. He's a guy that can line up outside and can do work work, I tell you. So, but both of these guys are solid wide receivers, and with Mike Berganzi, of course he's from the Kansas City Chiefs, but I would say him and Chad Brinker have a little bit of a connection from the Green Bay. And if you know anything about Green Bay, they're very, very good at developing wide receivers. So in this instance, maybe these are two guys to get that started in this case for Tennessee. We'll see what happens, but we don't know anything right now. But I can tell you these guys have a ton of ability. Speaking of ton of ability, let's talk about Mr. Travis Hunter. Mr. Travis Hunter, just and I know if you're watching the show, it says Travis Hunter to take on defense soon. Yeah, he definitely mentioned that well last week, what's now this week, that he would be taking some reps more on defense, of course with the veterans getting there and everything. But in the entire camp, the entire rookie mini camp, he was on offense, catching passes, running routes. The crowd oohing and eyeing and cheering him on, which Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen said that the crowd was electrifying and definitely loved what he was hearing. But getting back to Travis, Travis playing defense, offense, that's going to be a thing all year. It's going to be a thing looking at the balance and how much he does play on both sides of the football. But in speaking to the media, someone asked him about, doing things over because he did do some things over. He felt he didn't do well in practice. And he talked about he knew that the Jaguars were bringing him in. He knew they were bringing him in for, some sort of level of expectation. And he wants to meet that expectation, which to me, that is an excellent sign for the Jacksonville Jaguars and for that organization. That Travis Hunter understands the gravity of the moment, the gravity of where he was picked, and what he must come to do for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But now this week in terms of working on defense, getting used to all the different coverages. Now I will tell you, Liam Cohen did say he was going to work on defense and do things this week, and kind of try to catch up there. Travis Hunter said he pretty much he's got it down. He's pretty much got a few things down already when it comes to the Jaguars defense. Keep in mind this is a brand new defense this year, brand new defensive coordinator, everything. So it's going to be interesting just to watch how quickly he picks up everything. See, he's already picking up things quickly now. Imagine what it's going to be like as the season gets closer, as he gets more and more comfortable in the system with the calls and the different terminology and language. Because the biggest thing is there's coverages out there, but a lot of it is just different language, but just some of the same coverages that he probably has talked about and been a participant in throughout his entire career. So it's just going to be interesting to watch to see how he picks that up, how he continues to grow, and how they continue to balance his workload on both sides of the football. They're able to do that. Then of course Travis is going to be able to be used to his optimal ability and be able to be a very, very talented player for the Jaguars and one that could hurt a lot of teams in the AFC South and across the NFL. We're going to take another quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Texans and the Colts. And they have some rookie pass catchers that definitely could be getting counted on. We're going to talk about who those are right after this commercial break.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, and we are back on touring the AFC South. And like I mentioned, we're going to talk about a couple other pass catchers in the AFC South. And I'm going to start with Indiana and Indianapolis, those Colts, that is. And that would be Mr. Tyler Warren. The tight end out of Penn State is officially on that field. And I'm pretty sure that Colts fans are rejoicing because they finally feel they have a viable tight end that can make some things happen. Yes, he did wear 44 in college, little Dallas Clark shout out there. But he definitely wore that number well. He did a lot of great things. And Tyler Warren, he's going to be counted on a lot in this offense. I mean, I know they have Michael Pittman Jr., I know they have Josh Downs, but we all know the tight end is the safety net for a quarterback. And we know at that quarterback position, there is a lot going on. Of course, if you don't know, Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones will be battling for the quarterback position with the Indianapolis Colts. And, nobody knows what can happen. Well, we're going to see. But I will say this, Tyler Warren will go a long way in making whoever the quarterback is comfortable because he's definitely a guy that can get open. He's definitely a guy that is going to catch the football, and he is going to make some plays. The biggest thing is getting used to the offense and just getting used to operating in what Shane Steichen wants. Now, I will tell you, in the Shane Steichen offense, that tight end will get some action for sure, for sure. So Tyler Warren is going to be a splash player depending on if the quarterbacks there or quarterback, hopefully they pick one quarterback and don't have both of them play. That's just me being either wishful thinking or hoping it happens. One of them just plays the entire season. But anyway, his rookie season, he'll get open, things like that. But it just depends upon maybe the quarterback. And also, I will tell you, just for a little reference, you had, the rookie wide receiver out of Georgia, rookie tight end out of Georgia, Brock Bowers last year that went to the Las Vegas Raiders, had a ton of catches, had an incredible rookie year. They didn't win any games. He also had quarterback issues as well. So I will say it's very possible that Tyler Warren can have an incredible year with subpar quarterback play, but it's not going to make it easy for him, is what I'm going to say. So, Tyler Warren, we'll see what happens there. They do have a few other rookies that I'm definitely keeping my eye on there, especially one in the defensive backfield. He may be brought up in the later show, perhaps. But I will say that the guy that's the most important on this team right now, in terms of a rookie, that would be tight end Tyler Warren. Now, another rookie that is going to be important, but not for the Colts, but for the Texans, is going to be Jayden Higgins. Now, he played at Iowa State. Before that, he played at Eastern Kentucky, for those that don't know. He's a big guy. He's about 6'4", 216, but he gets in and out of those routes, and he can make some things happen. Well, we'll tell you, the Houston Texans, they're going to need that. They're going to also need, solid offensive line play. You don't know what's going to happen there because, Larry Tunsil's not there. They have a few other guys. Kenyon Green's not there. Shaq Mason, they let go of. A lot of turnover there. And, you have Laken Tomlinson as veteran guard. They brought in Cam Robinson. They traded for a guy from Minnesota. So they have a lot of action going on, but you don't know what's going to be happening up front. But I digress. Let's go back to the wide receiver position. Jaden Higgins met with the media, and I'm pretty sure he's aware that he's going to probably be counted on in his rookie season. It's either going to be him or it's going to be Jalen Noel, who's a speedy wide receiver from Iowa State as well. Yes, they did pick two wide receivers from Iowa State, and now they have three wide receivers from Iowa State on their team they've drafted within the last 4 years. Go figure. And two of them this year. So there you go. But Higgins seemed very comfortable with the media. He talked about, hey, at the end of the day, football is football. And he's definitely trying to kind of just lighten the mood in terms of potentially what he's going to be counting on to do. Because honestly, I get it that Christian Kirk was brought there to help out and be that second guy. But I think ultimately it's got to be Jaden Higgins and not Christian Kirk because Christian Kirk, he's talented, but also he's a guy that's been injured the last couple of years and not finished the season. So you don't know if you're going to get a full season out of Christian Kirk. So that's where Jaden Higgins becomes very much important for this team. I mean, he's a big guy, just like Nico Collins is. He's actually bigger in terms of height. Well, they're both 6'4". I should say that. But he definitely is someone that can make some things happen. He's a guy that can hurt you at the intermediate level. He's a guy that is physical for his size, but he also can get open, like a little bitty guy in different little tighter routes as well. So I feel like he handled the media well. I feel like he understands the moment, but I feel like he's not going to make it too big for who he is. Like he said, at the end of the day, football is football. The biggest thing for him is to just get the routes down, get the concepts down. Like I said earlier, I didn't like he's all of a sudden doing 18 million routes he's never done before. He's doing some of these routes. It's just a little bit, maybe attention to detail on the changes of, the different little things that go along with it, in terms of being a professional football player. So, that'll be something to watch how he develops, but it seems from all accounts that he's pretty comfortable, and he's settling in as a wide receiver there and a guy that will be counted on to make some things happen. Now, again, I didn't mention Cam Ward in this show very much at all, and I know he has not been mentioned very much at all. He kind of got overshadowed a lot in the draft as well, because I'm going to kind of shift to him and then talk about Jayden Higgins. I did talk about all the different teams and players, but you know I will say that the final bit. Cam Ward definitely is a guy, even though he isn't being talked about a lot, nationally, even though he was the number one overall pick, he is a guy that, comes in and shows leadership. He comes in and is kind of, talking to guys, different things about different routes, basically leading on the football field. That is within who he is. That is in his DNA. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see how he kind of assimilates up the list to being a leader or the leader of the team. But what I can say is he definitely has the right temperament, the right understanding, the quiet confidence, the swag. He's like an old soul when you talk to him in terms of his understanding, his polish when he's talking to people and things like that. He is a guy that seems to get it. Now there is some concern. People are talking about his arm angles and things like that. Brian Callahan isn't trying to change any of all that at all. What he is going to probably just focus on is maybe making sure that the footwork is there, those different things, because that's going to ultimately tell you where the ball goes, not necessarily his arm angles all the time, because he is what he is and he does what he does. But cleaning up and making sure the footwork is tight, right, ready to go, that's one of the big things to pay attention to when it comes to Cam Ward and his maturity and growth on the football field. Now, he definitely has a little bit of the the Titans have in terms of uh, Brian Callahan have kind of added a little bit of the some elements of Miami's offense into the offense so that Cam Ward can get even more comfortable. But I will say it's definitely going to be interesting to watch that marriage between Callahan and Cam Ward and how he develops Cam Ward and how he brings him along. Well, I will tell you, he has not necessarily been named the starter yet. Do I think he'll ultimately be named the starter for week one? Yes. But, right as of right now, that hasn't been done. And, it's not really anything to worry about at this point. But it will be interesting just to see how everything happens, how everything develops and comes about when it comes to not only the Tennessee Titans with the first overall pick, but with Tyler Warren and the Indianapolis Colts with Jayden Higgins and the Houston Texans, and especially with Travis Hunter and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, that's been my talk on the rookie minicamp. It's just some things I observed when it came to, the rookies and what, kind of they're seeing in terms of, camps and the NFL level and getting used to their new teammates. Yeah, Corey Jackson Sr. stopping through. And of course, if you don't know what this is, if you're watching the show. If you don't know what that is, then I need you to watch some Cam Ward highlights. That's that's the dance. The dance or the signal, whatever you want to call it, that's Cam Ward's thing. He does. We're just gonna say that. But yeah, we have reached the end of the show. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Touring the AFC South. I'm your host, Mike Patton. You can find me on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Mike Patton82. That's MikePatton82. You can also find me on Blue Sky, same thing. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at that's THA, not THE, underscore general underscore MP. Touring the AFC South is on all listening platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, you name it, we are there. And we are also on YouTube at the Mike Patton Network. I need you to go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead, click the bell. Go ahead, leave a comment. Yes, you leave a comment and share the show wherever you know someone that is interested in talking about some AFC South football, because that's what we do right here on this show. This has been Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out. Peace.